Hello, parents and students. Welcome to Lesson 4.7 Classwork Review. So each rectangle in this lesson is going to represent a value of 1. So the shaded unit fractions have been decomposed into smaller units. So decomposing, we're breaking it down into smaller units, into smaller pieces, into smaller parts. Okay. We're going to be expressing the equivalent fraction in a number sentence using multiplication. The first one has been done for us. So the first one, you can see we're going to be looking at the solid lines first, okay, the solid lines. So I'm going to outline that in red. These are our solid lines. So as you can see, 1 out of the 2 are shaded in, and 2 being the whole. Okay, now when we break it apart, again, we're going to decompose it, and we're going to draw a line through the middle. That was our dotted line. Okay, so we're breaking it up into how many parts? 1, 2. I count these as our rows. Our vertical ones are our columns. Okay, so our red box are our columns, and then our orange breaks it up into smaller bits again. It breaks it up into 2 rows. Okay, now we have a total. When we look, we can see we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 tinier boxes, 4 smaller boxes, and that's what that 4 is. And then how many other yellow shaded boxes are there? There are 2. Okay, so 2 over 4. How we got that 2 over 4 is we made 2 rows, and those 2 rows, okay, these 2 rows mean we're going to multiply 1 over 2 by 2 over 2. And 2 over 2 means 1. Any number, in this case I'll put it as an A, over any of the same number, so the same letter, A over A, 1 over 1, 2 over 2, 3 over 3, 4 over 4, the same two numbers over the top of each other equal 1. And when you multiply any number by 1, the number remains the same. So in this case, 1 over 2 equals 2 over 4. They're different numbers, but they equal the same thing, which makes them equivalent fractions. So for B, when we look at B, okay, B, we're going to look at our solid line first, okay? So we're splitting it into 1 shaded, okay, here's our 1 shaded, 1 over how many boxes? How many columns? 2, okay? Now our dotted lines break it up into 1, 2, 3 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to be multiplying 1 over 2 by 3 over 3. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this 1 over 2, and we're going to simplify it, make it 1 times 3 and 2 times 3, which equals 3 over 6. So 3 over 6 is equal to 1 over 2. So these two fractions, 3 over 6, 3/6, is equivalent to 1 over 2, or 1/2. So 3 over 6 is equal to 1 over 2, or 3/6 is equal to 1/2. Okay, and that's all this lesson is we're showing our stuff using multiplication. Okay, so when we go down here, it says, what happened to the size of the fractional units when decomposed by the fraction? Okay, what did the size do? So when you decompose a fraction, so if you have a whole pizza and you start cutting it, okay, in half, into quarters, into eighths, each of the smaller pieces, become smaller. The fractional units become smaller. Each one is worth a smaller portion. Now, what happened to the total number of units? Well, we went from 1 pizza to 8 pieces of pizza. So the total number of units became larger. They became bigger. So it became larger. The number became larger. It went from 1 to 8. But the pieces became smaller pieces. Each kid, instead of getting a larger piece of pizza, got a smaller piece of pizza. Okay? And so that's really all this lesson was about, was showing that the pieces become smaller, but you get more of them in total. Okay? So it's just multiplying and we're making sure we're multiplying by 1, which means A over A. And so A over A, where A is any number greater than 0. So 1 over 1, 2 over 2, 3 over 3, 4 over 4. Those are all equal to 1. And when we multiply by 1, the number remains the same. In this case, the numbers change. But since we're still multiplying by 1, our fractions are equivalent, which means they are equal to each other. Okay, we'll take a more in-depth look at this the next couple of lessons, but I hope this makes a little more sense to you all. And with that being said, I hope you all have a great day, and I hope this helps. Thanks.